Do we do torture in this country? We torture drug dealers now? Is that what Megyn Kelly's new policy is going to be? We're going to go down to, the park and find somebody selling drugs and we're going to blow off their arm and watch them bleed out?
Who says something like that?
Hello and welcome to the Bulwark podcast. I'm your host, Tim Miller. We might be a little tight today because I think there's a bonus pod coming tonight. So keep an eye on your feed for a second entry. We'll be maybe a little more prurient than this morning's entry. We'll see how it goes. But I'm excited to welcome to this show, formerly at the Bulwark. She's now a writer and editor at Protect Democracy. Their Substack is If You Can Keep It. It's all caps Amanda Carpenter. What's up, girl? Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, good morning, Tim. You have been killing it lately. I'm just so happy to see all the Bulwark success. And the second interview sounds pretty juicy. What's going on?
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Keep an eye on the feed. We miss you. It's good to see you. It's been a minute. You're doing the Lord's work. It's like right there in the name, Protect Democracy. It's kind of an important job. So I'm happy you're doing that, but we do miss you. I want to do big picture because, I think since the last time we talked, obviously, the Project 2025 has rolled down the tracks further, but they've also had some spokes in their tires a little bit. I was on with your boss, Ian Bassett, on Nicole last week, and Ian, for people who don't know him, like me, is a little dour. He's a little bit of a rain cloud at times. He was sounding optimistic, it kind of felt like, about our trajectory. So I'm just wondering what you think, kind of biggest picture just from the democracy perspective, and we'll get into the other stuff, where we are right now, what the threats are, what maybe some positive developments have been.
Yeah, well, we get this question a lot. And in my head, I always have this kind of like scorecard of where we are on the matrix of all the categories, like when it comes to military deployments and pardons and quashing dissent and campaigns against the press and weaponizing the Department of Justice. So like, that's always into account. There's never like, yes, it's going great, or we're at this part on the map kind of answer. But I think the biggest reason for optimism at this particular point in time is that Donald Trump's policies are incredibly unpopular. I mean, his job approval rating right now is at 36%. And the key to defeating these populist policies is to make them unpopular so that they are unable to entrench themselves and their faction in power. And we did have successful elections. So, this is real reason to have, faith in the future that's ahead. And one thing that I spend a lot of time thinking about is sort of what you mentioned. They had a plan for year one of Trump 2.0. That was Project 2025. They had it written for every department. They were going to oust these people. They got everything they wanted for the most part. And it's not turning out well for them. And I don't think they have a plan for year two. And so it is my hope and dream that year two is the year that accountability starts. And I think we're starting to see it. It's December 2025 right now. We are finally starting to see some oversight happen and things like these insane boat strikes that are happening in the Caribbean. We knew what kind of person Pete Hegseth was going to be. We saw what they were doing with the whole Department of War branding, and we want to loosen the terms of engagement. And now we're seeing that play out. And there's real bipartisan interest in exercising some oversight for the first time. And so I am particularly, I don't want to say happy, but I feel good about that because I think the single biggest threat to our democracy comes to these military deployments, whether it comes to these strikes in foreign waters, whether it comes to agents in the streets of our cities, when it comes to ICE, the National Guard, and stopping these unlawful deployments and types of military and federal action is absolutely essential when it comes to election protection and the future of our democracy. So if we make that unpopular and we can have oversight and we can stop it in the courts and stop it in the streets, I I feel a lot better.
For those who are podcast-only folks, Mark Hertling, who's more formally joined the Bulwark, has been so good on all this, like the democracy threats for military deployment, and just so you can check out his work at the website and YouTube, and I'll get him back on the pod soon. It's like basically true, right? That the best fight against the authoritarian threat is making them unpopular, like making their policies unpopular. I mean, there have been examples where unpopularity has not worked in stopping authoritarian, but I do think that in America we have a lot more checks than some of these other countries where driving his numbers down is the best thing that can be done. And the funny thing is about the whole Project 2025 is back in 2024 during the campaign, there was like one thing that Trump and all of us who opposed him did seem to agree on, which is that Project 2025 isn't popular. Like he knew it wasn't going to be popular. We knew it wasn't going to be popular. He tried to disown it. He tried to disown it. And so it is strange, kind of. He had the survival instinct during the campaign to know they had to distance himself from the toxic elements of it. And then this year, he just kind of ran headlong into all of the most unpopular elements of it, whether it be the Doge stuff or, you kind of go down the line.
Doge needs to be more purely branded as the spectacular failure that it was. Yeah. Maximum chaos, no savings. You did all the damage. You ousted all these people. You did the Schedule F, and you didn't save money. I mean, you killed life-saving programs. I mean, maximum damage for maximum nothing. I mean, I think Elon Musk will also try to make some kind of comeback when it comes to political influence in the future. I don't think he's going away forever. But I do think we should do a better job explaining how much damage that caused for absolutely no payoff.
You mentioned Venezuela. That's kind of the biggest, latest news of the week. Since we taped yesterday, the White House changed their tune a little bit on this double tap strike, which is kind of a bloodless way to describe this thing, which is just like, a follow-up bomb to make sure we killed the people that were in the sea. Yeah, because
the first bomb was okay. Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about it. The first tap, you get like a free tap.
Yeah, bonus tap. Okay. Yeah, anyway. It's just for folks who are just kind of locking back in after the holidays. So basically, over the weekend, there's the Washington Post story saying that Pete Hegseth had ordered that everybody be killed in the first boat strike in the Caribbean, and the first bomb hit the boat. 2 people survived. Then they sent in a second one that killed 2 people in the sea. That was the Washington Post reporting. Over the weekend, the Department of Defense spokesperson called that reporting lies. He said that the reporters were enemies of the people, said that it wasn't true. Yesterday, the White House changed their tune on that. They're saying that it was Navy Admiral Mitch Bradley and not Hegseth. So maybe that's how they're trying to slice this, that directed this so-called double tap strike. Hegseth sent a tweet about this. Let's make one thing crystal clear. Admiral Mitch Bradley is an American hero, a true professional. I stand by him and the combat decisions he made on the September 2 mission and all others since. America is fortunate to have such men. When we say the Department of War says we have the back of our warriors, we mean it. If you kind of dissect that sentence, Britt Hume, not exactly a big critic of the administration, he writes, "This is how to point the finger at someone while pretending to support him." Right? It's like, okay, I support him, but he did it. So anyway, that is where we stand. I mean, quite a turnabout from where they were. On some level, is there some positive that they feel like they have to rationalize this? I don't know. What do you make of all this?
I think there can be positive, and now there's a lot more attention and scrutiny over what the hell we're doing with Venezuela. I mean, to me, like the he said, who's responsible, and the chain of command, that is extremely important. I do believe we will find out all the details because there is certainly documentation for this. I mean, this just doesn't happen in the ether. But
probably not legal documentation since we got rid of all the JAGs.
But, Well, there's also, but like that also speaks to like this was always the plan. So what are we doing? Why is Pete Hegseth overseeing any kind of strikes on drug boats down here? I mean, the official story from the White House, over the past 4 months that has been building and simmering, I think, in the background with not enough attention, is that we are supposedly taking all this action against these narco-terrorists, which obviously drugs are a problem, but are we at war with narco-terrorists? They are designating these terrorist organizations, and they're all doing it unilaterally with no oversight from Congress, no buy-in, no anything whatsoever. And the real story here is that Donald Trump wants regime change in Venezuela. I mean, it's not just the drug strikes. We have a huge military presence building in the waters down there to intimidate Maduro, to try to get him to step down. Because I think Donald Trump has talked about how, he wants another nation state where we can send deportees and have oil and mineral deals. And that would be a huge win for the administration. But along the way, I guess we're apparently just putting all these military forces in the water and striking drug boats. If they're drug boats, I haven't seen any evidence of that. Surely they would be able to compile that as a means of intimidating Maduro. I mean, is that what's really going on here? And if that's true, Congress should be involved, right?
Yeah. Well, they're starting to, I guess. This is like the grandpa Trump side of it to me. Is like, why does he want a regime change in Venezuela? We've talked about this on a lot of shows, but I still don't really understand. And maybe it's related to the deportees that you said there, because I was just listening to your explanation. It's like, well, okay. So that is the one thing that he's limited by. And it's not like Donald Trump has shown that he feels icky about doing deals with dictators. And he could just do an oil and minerals deal with Maduro. Like, supposedly they talk to each other. Like, Maduro has reportedly said that he would. Trump has had no issue with that with any. Why is Maduro different than, the Middle Eastern dictators that he's doing deals with, or the fact that he wanted to be buddies with Kim Jong-un or Xi or Putin? Maduro's not like meaningfully different from any of them. So, to me, the strange thing is that it almost feels like he's being dragged into this by Marco. I don't know how else to understand what's happening. And I think Pete Hegseth just likes doing bombings.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a plausible explanation, but we're sort of reaching, like, could be this, it could be that. What are we doing down there? Like, we can guess, but it's not our job to guess. He has the world's largest aircraft carrier stationed in the waters down there. Why? Why are we doing any of this? And to me, it's outrageous that Congress, there has been interest from Congress in having some kind of oversight in doing war powers legislation to stop Donald Trump from doing unauthorized actions. I should give some credit. Like, Tim Kaine has been pushing it. The Senate Democrats have all been united on this and getting support from Rand Paul and Lisa Murkowski. They pushed this resolution, I believe, twice, failed because the Republicans wouldn't support it, and are going to re-up it again in light of this new information, which is extremely important. I think this is a huge winning issue. Important for protecting the interests of our military, our country, our stability, all kinds of things. But what Pete Hegseth is doing is just, it's an important part of the story that's making people pay attention, because, if this is just some kind of intimidation campaign and Trump said, blow up the boats, Pete Hegseth took the order as kill them all. And I'm just speculating here. And we're just blowing people out of the water to intimidate Maduro. That seems pretty bad. I came into politics during... It
also seems pretty bad to call the reporters that are reporting this the enemy of the people, and then admitting 3 days later that like they were right, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. But just like in terms of a baseline of like how this should go, when we were blowing up terrorist cells, I remember typically the Bush administration would say, we launched this attack. It was these terrorists. We had this evidence on them. This is why we launched the strike. We're getting none of that when it comes to these narco terrorists. And I don't have a reason to believe that label, because we don't know who these people are. And previously, when members of Congress have asked for briefings on this, they've essentially, Rand Paul said, we don't get briefings. I was looking into what Democratic lawmakers were saying in October, and they were essentially saying they won't give us information because they don't think they're worth interrogating. The people that we don't kill, we just let them go. So to me, that tells me they're not really terrorists. If we just let them go and we're blowing up boats for effect and performative reasons, which is really what this looks like to me.
We know they've been wrong before about taking action against Venezuelans, with the ones that they sent to El Salvador that they misidentified as gang members. So it's like there's no reason to believe that they're right now. You mentioned Rand. He's been pretty good on this. He's been over on Fox talking about it, which is I like. Is your old Tea Party buddy, the wacko bird.
You gotta keep the libertarians around. Sometimes they're the only conscience the Republican Party has. And so Tom Massey, Rand Paul, I am never going to let them go and write them off.
Yeah, they're pretending as if we were at war, Rand said. they want to just blow people up. That's not how this works. I appreciate that point of view for Rand, and like it's funny watching him on Fox. The Fox hosts are struggling to like deal with his very clear. There's a lot of jarbled rationale for this, and Rand Paul's is very simple. It's like, we're not at war. If you want to go to war with these guys, let's vote on it. Let's go to war. Right, guys, I'm not a big wallet purchaser. I've probably had, I don't know, 3 wallets my entire adult life, and I had a little while where I had a Costanza wallet going. Then I decided to keep nothing in my wallet. I've been all over the map. And when we got this new sponsor, Ridge, I have to admit, I'm just going to admit right off, I was a little skeptical. It's a little different than my other wallets. It's sleek. Has a little bit of heft to it. It's masculine. It's a little more masculine than I self-identify. And as it turns out, my skepticism was unwarranted. And now you can join me and you can say hello to Ridge 2.0, the most refined version of the Ridge wallet. Everything's better on 2.0. It's 10% lighter. They found the perfect balance between, sturdiness and, I don't know, it's a featherweight. It's like it's in like the boxing category. It's like a featherweight, strong and sturdy, but also featherish. They made it more modular with improved catch straps, money clips, and the AirTag attachment. In case you're a loser, I'm also a loser of things. So you can ensure that you're going to find your wallet if you leave it on the table at the bar. For one example, that definitely didn't happen to me. It's got over 50 colors and styles to choose from. You can even get a wallet that features every NFL, MLB, or college team. We can now wear our Tigers stuff proudly now that Brian Kelly's gone and we got Lane Kiffin. Plus, all Ridge wallets have a new industry-leading built-for-life warranty. So, for a limited time, Ridge is having their huge holiday sale. Head to ridge.com to get up to 47% off your order. This is by far the biggest discount they've given all year. That's ridge.com for up to 47% off your order during their biggest sale of the year. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. There is a contrary view, though. From former Fox host Megyn Kelly, and she was on with Mark Halperin. Some baggage in his past.
He's a good guest, right?
Mark, no, I didn't watch the whole segment.
Good for you.
But I did hear this clip from Megyn Kelly talking about her, I think, unconventional view of what she would like to see was regarding to the bombings in the Caribbean.
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah. This is sick. I like when she says I'm having trouble finding sympathies for these guys. As you just mentioned, we don't know who these guys are. How can you have sympathy or not have sympathy for them? We don't know who they are. Like, it is so depraved to have these torture fantasies about essentially anonymous Venezuelans that, in like the most generous view to the administration, are drug traffickers, which is, again, not a great job, but it's like, do we do torture in this country? We torture drug dealers now? Is that what Megyn Kelly's new policy is going to be? We're going to go down to, the park and find somebody selling drugs and we're going to blow off their arm and watch them bleed out? That's what you want for a free country?
Who says something like that? I mean, even your worst enemies, the worst criminal, you want to watch them suffer and bleed out and make it last a long time and lose limbs. I don't even know how those words come to someone's mind. And like, this is a person who knows how to use her words. She's a professional, lots of years on Fox, lots of years NBC, got paid tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars over the course of career for how she knows how to speak words. And now, which I don't understand, like, why you aren't just like spending time with your kids, enjoying life. But She wants to sit, no shade to podcasting, but she wants to sit in her little hole and talk to Mark Halperin. And these are her pure and true thoughts that no producer is telling her to say. There's no Audra Ailes manipulating her to wear the skimpy shirt and say the crazy things now.
It's really sick. It also is in the context of she really got on the moral high horse around the Charlie Kirk assassination. Had a deep emotional reaction to it. But like after that Charlie Kirk thing, rightly, we here at the Bulwark and her and others were praising Erica Kirk, who gives this speech that's like we should turn the other cheek, and that's the Christian way to do it. And so I'm just listening to you react, and it's like if you are going to have a kind of revenge fantasy where you want somebody to be tortured and suffered. Like you would think it'd be about the person that murdered your husband in cold blood, but she didn't. Like she modeled a different view. Megyn Kelly praised that, and now here's Megyn Kelly being like, "It's not even a person I know. It's not even like this person killed my family member, and I want to see them tormented."
We don't even know their names. We don't even know. And
they might be people being human trafficked. They might not even be drug dealers.
She'll support the guy who is pardoning the ex-Honduran president who trafficked 400 tons of cocaine into the United States.
Yeah.
No one needs to suffer there. It makes no sense. It's just
get therapy, Megyn, is what I would say. I think this is a call for therapy. I want to move on to it's interesting, this whole Venezuelan boat illegal order conversation happens like in the days following this big controversy over Democratic senators and members of Congress putting out a video where they encourage soldiers to not follow illegal orders.
Who may have known something in hindsight.
Yeah, exactly. You almost wonder if they're briefed on this, or if otherwise it's just pretty, in a macabre sense, in a dark sense, kind of fortuitous timing for just the political argument. But they were out there doing this. Trump says it's treason. The Democratic, particularly Mark Kelly, kind of leading the way, has been out there continuing to speak on this. Trump tweeted yesterday, Mark Kelly and the group of unpatriotic politicians were wrong to do what they did. I hope people looking at them are not duped into thinking that it's okay to openly and freely get others to disobey the President of the United States. So openly and freely disobeying the President of the United States is a pretty fundamental American value, actually. I guess it's not China. You don't get jailed for putting up a Winnie the Pooh picture of the president. Like you can disobey. If the president wants you to do something illegal, you can disobey them. That's how a free country works. But anyway, curious your thoughts on Kelly and the whole discussion.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, this has been an issue that's been simmering for a long time. Why are we hitting these boats in the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela? Like, what are we actually doing? The double tap killing has brought it to the forefront, obviously, because it's so outrageous and in your face, and because of the incredible Washington Post reporting. Much credit to them and other people that are following up on it, on outlets like the Wall Street Journal, CNN, etc. But when it comes to speaking out against it, obviously the White House was worried about this, and what these Democratic lawmakers with military experience said set them off. So much so, I mean, we have to really revisit what the White House is saying about them, accusing them of treason, sedition, talking about hanging them. And then Mark Kelly was threatened with a Pentagon investigation. I mean, think about this. He is a retired member of the military expressing his free speech rights as a duly elected senator, protecting his constituents, his veterans, conducting oversight duties completely within his rights. And now he has the Pentagon investigating him supposedly, and the FBI is making inquiries into all the lawmakers. I mean, this is really over the top, insane, authoritarian behavior. And I just want to give a lot of credit to these lawmakers. I know some people sort of disagreed or quibbled with the video, but they're not hiding. They're not backing down. Mark Kelly has answered it with interview after interview. He did a press conference yesterday. And I think he's a great spokesperson on this because of his background, because of the integrity that he has. And it's just really important to force this issue. What the hell are we doing down there? This is completely within congressional oversight wheelhouse. We should have a discussion about war powers. We should have a discussion about reining in Pete Hegseth, who fundamentally disagrees with the law when it comes to the rules of engagement. Yeah. That is his view. But if he exercises that view,
I mean, he's been a pro.
Yeah. Why'd we confirm him? I don't know. But now we're seeing what this looks like. He disagrees with the law, and now he's acting accordingly. So now we better do something, because we're putting members of the military in terrible, impossible, unlawful positions.
Yeah, he basically had a long history of defending war criminals, siding with war criminals, criticizing JAG officers.
Yeah, it's arguably how he got famous on Fox and got Donald Trump's attention. That huge campaign that he did to advocate for Eddie Gallagher, who is the Navy SEAL who stabbed and killed an ISIS teenager in the neck, which, we can talk about that, stuff happens, but then took photos of it. And they wanted to drum him out of the military. And here Pete Hegseth comes to this guy's rescue and tries to rehab him as a kind of war hero, against what the military justice system said when they kept saying, like, this is unsafe. We don't do this. It's against the rules of engagement. It hurts our own soldiers when you have unhinged actors like this within the chain of command. And we took that advocate and we made him the head of the Department of War. And these are the consequences.
Yeah.
And I say Department of War. I don't believe that, but that's what they're running to call it, and they're acting like it.
It was like Department of War eye roll.
Just making sure I rolled.
Just one pundit accountability note for myself. My overarching advice to Democrats has continued to be just try shit. Just attack him, criticize him, go after him, try different things, try different tactics. You don't know what's going to hit. And that is correct advice. And I went against my own correct advice on this because I kept seeing these guys on Fox when I was watching it. And it did feel like kind of they were losing the argument on Fox just before this recent batch of
but they went on Fox
about the Caribbean. Yeah. And I was kind of saying, like, God, there's so many things you go on Fox to hit Trump on right now. Maybe this isn't the best one. But I got my face on that one because it turns out, I think, just as we've kind of seen the news develop, it shows the kind of the overarching advice of like, whatever it is you're passionate about, you think you have a strong argument about, go and take it to the American people. And some of the stuff's going to work, some of it's not. In this case, I think the table's really turning. The holiday season can be pretty stressful. How's it the holiday season already? I don't know. But if you're like me, you're traveling, you're working your ass off. You also have got to, purchase presents. Especially if you have kids and you've got to purchase extra presents. We're not going to say why. And so when you need to slow down at night and actually relax, but not have a hangover the next day, you can turn to Sol's Out of Office Gummies. It's the perfect balance of CBD and THC that helps me and my husband and other people in my life find calm and peace of mind. Sol's wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. They specialize in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies were designed to prove a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance creativity and relaxation. And if you like their out-of-office gummies, go to what I actually prefer, which is the out-of-office beverage, a refreshing, alcohol-free alternative that's perfect for winding down on the couch or socializing with friends or spacing out for a little while, if that's something that you need in your life. So take advantage of Sol's Black Friday to Cyber Monday deal right now. For a limited time, get 40% off your entire order. Go to getsol.com and use the code THEBulwark. That's getsol.com, promo code THEBulwark for 40% off. Don't miss their best deal of the year right now. I want to ask you about ice. I've got ice coming down to New Orleans. I just landed back here. And CPB. CBP, I should say. ICE was kind of the shorthand for what the immigration actions were for a while. And then this kind of weird thing happened where Tom Homan ended up being like the moderate in the regime. And so then the Customs and Border Patrol started to become kind of more of the aggressive enforcement operation. But anywho, you guys at Protect Democracy, working with other advocates and other legal advocates, you got a bunch of lawyers on your team, did a bunch of work in Illinois. And so I'm just wondering kind of what the after action was on that, what the lessons are, what we should be thinking about as they move on to other places.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I think there's a lot of important lessons that we can draw, in particular out of Chicago. And I think this is one of the most successful areas where collective action, which is like, such kind of like a progressive-y phase that I'm still not comfortable using, it actually worked. Because
we're libs now, Amanda.
I know. Well, I heard that discussion about Jubilee.
I knew I had to go through that last week. Just embrace it. Okay, we're libs now. We do collective action. We have safe spaces. So we do the whole thing. We've embraced all of it. Okay, just accept it.
But the lesson there is that there was a broad-based coalition, literally in the streets. You had members of the media, you had members of the faith community, you had regular activists who were there in solidarity 24/7, keeping tabs on the situation. And the reason we were able to take legal action and represent people, like that pastor who was hit in the head with the rubber bullets, which is so, just insane to see happen was because we had people in the streets actually collecting the evidence, right? That is absolutely the first line of defense. And so you can't go to court, you can't win, you can't get injunctions unless you have people there watching, standing their ground, and recording and ready to take it into a court and win when you don't know that you're going to do that. And as a result of that action, there's still like pending appeal. Bivino like cut loose and ran. He got out of the city, right? Yeah. Like one of the, a lot of threats happening from him, a lot of big shows of force, all the media attention, and then he's out of there. And so a couple things that we're looking at that we think absolutely can be replicated. And Tim, I do sort of hate to tell you this. I do think the biggest, threats coming not only for ICE action now, but in the future when it comes to elections are going to be blue cities and red states where there's more.
No, definitely.
Yeah, like that's like everybody should be aware of that. It's going to be blue cities and red states of, electoral significance. And so if the troops are coming to your streets, there's a few things that I think everybody should wrap their heads around doing. Number one, you got to start pre-bunking the federal justifications. If they say we're coming in here to stop crime, you need to have the statistics, you need to have the mayors, you need to have the governors showing as much as you can, like, this is what we've done to stop crime. This is what we're doing. And most importantly, we don't want your federal help. Like, this is where it really gets invited in when you have one mayor say, well, actually, we do want the resources. In Washington, D.C., I think the mayors really tripped up on that, and they realized too late they were making an invitation that they shouldn't have. And so, pre-bunk the federal justifications, force the issue in saying we don't want your help, but then immediately have people in the streets, a broad-based coalition, all kinds of strange bedfellows. We need everybody. Nobody is your enemy or your adversary if you are fighting against this kind of action, and start documenting all the federal abuses that you see. Your cameras are your best friends. I mean, God bless, you see all these, people swarming agents, they're standing their ground. They're not being aggressive, but they have their cameras. They've got like grandmas on scooters and all the silver hairs. We make fun of the retired people, I think, in a very negative way. They have time to do this. God bless them. Thank you, retirees, for coming out and doing this. I have no hate. I have no shame on you, because you are the ones that have times to do it. You could be safe and warm in your homes watching cable TV.
Could
no, you're not out there. This is awesome.
Yeah. Get out there.
Thank you. So that's amazing. And then, the most important thing is, while you're doing all this, absolutely keep it peaceful. I mean, the things that people are doing in Portland with the costumes, it's just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The way that they took a sense of humor about it. I mean, it was also had a protective quality, because, you can't really be documented with photo ID if you're wearing a big frog costume. If you happen to be worried about that, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But most importantly, that had an element of keeping things peaceful. It's different when people are running around in frog costumes versus, black masks. And so I think those are some things that can absolutely be replicated in a place like New Orleans and anywhere.
Yeah, I'm already seeing the text chains get started and people sending me.
What's your costume?
I don't know that I'm going to be cosplaying, but nobody does costumes better than New Orleans. So you'll have to get.
Okay, you guys are going to have fun ones.
I think there'll be some creativity. A lot of paper mache. Anyway, we'll be posting.
You'll have actually good protest music.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, a little second line. Okay, really quick. You went to college in Indiana, right? Ball State, Indiana.
I did.
Right? Isn't that in Indiana? Right,
it is very good. Muncie,
what's
also known
the
as
nickname?
Funcy.
The Red Hawks. No,
they're the Cardinals. I mean,
Cardinals. That was close.
It's a red bird.
That was really close. It was in my head somewhere.
Very good.
Okay, so we've got the Cardinals. There's not really that much connection to this, but I just like to shout out Ball State grads. In Indiana, there's really kind of a dark story happening that's like right down the wheelhouse of what you guys are doing at Protect Democracy, and that is this redistricting fight has gotten, I think, uglier than anywhere. Where it's like over one seat in the grand scheme of things. It's much smaller, maybe it's like much smaller than the Texas and California redistricting, as far as like the big, or even Virginia for that matter, for like the big picture impact. But Vance was pushing for it. Some rumors, I think that Pence behind the scenes was pushing the other way, telling the Indiana legislators to stand their ground. shout out respect to some Indiana Republican legislators who have stood their ground on this and said, no, we're not going to do mid-decade redistricting just because Daddy Trump tells us. And the administration has continued to push on this. The governors continue to push on this. And now we are seeing just very real threats to these legislators. We had 11 were targeted with threats or swatting attacks in the past few days. And you can kind of just see, you can see the dark place where we might be headed.
Yeah, I mean, I do think these kind of threats do get disproportionately hot. Constituents get angrier at them than normal. I mean, I say that without knowing exactly where the threats are coming from. But what was sort of, I've been tracking this, sort of surprising to me, and I was kind of wondering about, is one of the legislators said, I'm not going to vote for redistricting based on the comments that Trump said about disabled people because I have a disabled daughter. Like, he's taking the right position, but those things don't go together. So it's kind of odd to me. You know,
can we just give a guy a pat? I'll take it.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's
I'm
good,
desperate.
It's
I'm like
always
parched. I'm in the desert. I'm looking for somebody just to say no to him that has a Republican behind their name.
But it's always interesting to see where the breaking points are for people in the president's faction, because it remains important to a lot of those people that they not betray the president on a policy that is perceived as MAGA, and it sometimes has to be about something else.
Right.
And that's just something I'm always trying to dig into and understand.
Yeah. Anything just on from the Protect Democracy standpoint on, just thinking ahead to the midterms and these kind of threats and what impact it could have on elections?
Yeah, I mean, I am sort of like hyper focused on the role of the military and other federal agents when it comes to National Guard, Marines, DHS, ICE, et cetera, because, Donald Trump is predisposed to make claims about elections being stolen, rigged, et cetera, anytime he loses. But if he has the military on his side, those threats become exponentially harder to surmount. And so to me, it remains absolutely essential that we break that link so that the military doesn't become politicized and personalized to carry out his political goals. I mean, and so I should tell you, so we have this campaign, educational awareness campaign going on right now called Not the Mission. You can check it out at notthemission.org. We started running billboards and, the trucks with billboards all through Washington, D.C. when the Guard there was first deployed. And what this campaign is aimed at is people who support the military, love the military, are patriotic, but don't want to see them unnecessarily used. This is not their mission to go, pick up trash in the streets of DC. We respect them. We love them. This should not be how they use. And so I am also like sort of extra wound up about this because, I'm out in West Virginia. The National Guard member who is in the hospital right now, Andrew Wolf, is from Inwood. That was like for the same little town our main babysitter is from, that took care of our children. I'm going to be there in Inwood on Sunday to run an annual Christmas 5K. That's before a wonderful community parade that, I've done for years now and our whole family goes to. And I fully expect to see all the red ribbons in support of Andrew. But, you can talk about like, should he have been there? Well, do you have respect for how these troops are deployed? This also gets to the broader question of what is the mission of these troops when it comes to the drug boat strikes? How are we using these men and women? And are we respecting their service? I don't think we are. The president is not. When we give these kind of orders willy-nilly that are incompatible with the law, it hurts them. And so I hope he's going to be okay. This isn't the point of the Not the Mission campaign. Yeah, but the other woman was lost. Yeah. So we do have more billboards coming aimed in Baltimore at the Army-Navy game coming up next week. And so this will continue. And I just think it's a really, really important message that when you misuse the troops, it escalates tension unnecessarily. It compromises troop readiness and performance. And it just endangers troops unnecessarily.
I love that. I'm always arguing. So I talked to Wes Moore about this a while ago now, talking about kind of taking back patriotism, from these guys on the other side. It's not the National Guard troops' fault that they were sent on these terrible missions. And
sign up to help.
Yeah. And I was, it's interesting when you think about combating, it's not really authoritarianism, but this is like right-wing populism. I was talking to, there's a gay, millennial, handsome president in the Netherlands now.
What's his name, Tim? Tell me more.
Obviously, I've been paying a lot of attention to that. And one of the things that he used, one of the tools that he used was like being very pro-Dutch. And their campaign had a lot of kind of like Dutch flags and Dutch themes, and we're taking that back. And I think that A, it is the right thing to do. It is not their mission, and I think I'm glad you guys are doing this. But B, I just think it's a political matter. It is smart and wise to try to take that kind of argument back away from these guys. The prime, I said president, that's prime minister. I'm so America focused. I'm such a fucking Yankee. Rob Jetton's the prime minister. He's handsome. His boyfriend, or his husband rather, is handsome. So Google him. But it's a great effort. I appreciate that you're doing that. Anything else? And you got the 5K this weekend. How are you feeling about that?
Anything I'm feeling good. It's my first run since I did the JFK 50-mile race for the third time, 3 years in a row. I think I'm taking a break next year, though. So 3 for theory, and then we'll see if I want to come back and get the whole if you run it 5 times, you're in the 250-mile club, and you get a sweatshirt.
Okay, hopefully it's a cozy sweatshirt.
I think it's a very plain gray one.
It's a cool sweatshirt.
I think it's not cool.
You've earned that sweatshirt. Amanda Carpenter, I appreciate you. I miss doing this. We'll be doing it again soon, all right? Have a great holidays. Hug those kiddies, okay?
We'll do.
All right. Everybody else will be back here maybe tonight, actually. So keep an eye on the feed. We'll see y'all then. Peace.